All right, let's dive in. Today, we are cracking the code on a type of cyber attack that is so powerful, it can turn a simple login box into a master key for an entire system. We're talking about injection attacks, one of the oldest, and honestly, one of the most devastating tricks in the hacker's entire playbook.
So I want you to think about the last time you logged into a website. You know the drill. You see that simple, harmless-looking box for your username and your password. But what if I told you that very same box could be tricked?
And not just tricked into letting one person sneak by. No, we're talking about tricking it into handing over the keys to the entire digital kingdom. That right there is the scary power of an injection attack.
So how in the world does a simple text box get that much power? Well, the answer lies hidden deep inside an application's code, where just one tiny crack can bring the whole building crumbling down.
Here's the core idea, and it's actually pretty simple. An injection attack happens when an attacker doesn't just type in their password. Instead, they type in a secret command. They are literally injecting a piece of malicious code into a field that's only expecting, normal text like a name or an email.
And this is where things go really, really wrong. The application, because it was programmed to trust what users type in, just takes that malicious input and runs it like it's a perfectly normal, legitimate command. It's basically tricked into hacking itself.
Okay, so the application gets tricked. So what? What does that actually let an attacker do? Let's break down exactly why this one little flaw is so incredibly dangerous.
You can think of it like a ladder of chaos. An attacker might start on the bottom rung, just bypassing a login screen. But from there, they can start climbing. The next rung up, reading all your sensitive data. Then, maybe modifying it, or even just deleting it all. And if they get to the very top of that ladder, they can run their own commands on the server itself, leading to a complete and total system takeover.
So we've been talking about these secret commands, but what do these secret keys that hackers use actually look like? Let's pull back the curtain and look at a couple of the most common ones. First up, we've got the most famous one of all, SQL Injection. Now, SQL is basically the language that computers use to talk to databases. So a SQL injection is an attack designed to trick the database itself.
Now, this might look like absolute gibberish to you and me, but to a database, this is an incredibly powerful key. When a hacker types this into a password field, what they're really saying to the database is, hey, find me a user where the password is correct or where 1 equals 1. And guess what? 1 always equals 1. So the database just goes, yep, looks good to me, login successful, and throws the doors wide open.
And once those doors are opened, the damage can be just catastrophic. The hacker waltzes right in without a real password. They can start pulling out mountains of sensitive customer data. And in the worst cases, they can even issue a single command to just delete the entire database. Poof, gone.
Okay, so if SQL injection is like picking the lock to the company's file cabinet, command injection is like getting a master key to the entire building. This isn't about tricking the database anymore. This is about hijacking the server's entire operating system.
This tiny little string of text is one of the most feared commands in the entire world of technology. That little semicolon tells the server, hey, stop what you were doing and listen to this new command. And that new command, rm-rf/, is the instruction to forcefully and immediately delete everything. Every file, every folder, the whole shebang.
So let's be super clear here. With command injection, the attacker isn't just messing with data anymore. For all intents and purposes, they are the system administrator. They have full control. They can do anything the server can do.
And believe me, the threat doesn't stop there. There are all kinds of other flavors of injection attacks, and each one targets a different piece of the technology puzzle. You've got cross-site scripting, which goes after the web page users themselves, and then you have others that are designed to attack very specific databases or authentication systems.
Okay, I know, that was a lot, and it's pretty terrifying stuff. But here's the good news. We know exactly how to fight back. So let's switch gears and talk about how we build our digital fortresses. You see, the vulnerability and the defense are really just two sides of the exact same coin. The whole problem starts because we blindly trust what a user types in. So the fix is to do the exact opposite. Never, ever trust user input. This means using safe coding techniques like prepared statements, which, to put it simply, keep the command and the user's data in separate, safe little boxes so they can never accidentally mix. Now, a really strong defense isn't just one magic bullet. It's all about layers.
It all starts with writing secure code using those safe prepared statements. Then you add another layer of validation to check and clean absolutely everything a user types. On top of that, you apply something called the principle of least privilege, which just means you only give every part of your system the absolute bare minimum permissions it needs to do its job and nothing more. And finally, you can put a web application firewall, or a WAF, out front to act like a digital bouncer, checking every request and blocking the shady-looking ones before they even get to the front door.
So, we've been deep in the technical details, but let's zoom out for a second. Why does any of this really matter in the real world?
Well, don't just take my word for it. There's a global nonprofit called OWASP, the Open Web Application Security Project. You can think of them as the world's leading authority on web security. And for years and years, they have consistently ranked injection attacks as one of the top 3 most critical, most dangerous security risks on the entire internet.
And when these attacks actually succeed, the consequences are just devastating. We are talking about massive data breaches that affect millions of people, crippling financial losses for businesses, brands whose reputations are destroyed literally overnight, and of course, all the serious legal trouble that comes right after.
Which really leaves us with one last, kinda unsettling thought. We all interact with countless websites, countless apps, countless input fields every single day. And it really makes you wonder, how many of them are actually secured properly? And how many are just sitting there, wide open, waiting for the right, or maybe the wrong, secret